everyone. Hi to everybody out there on Facebook land. We're live, and we are here right now with Patrick Kaiser, who's been on with me now several times. And he is the owner of Just 1%, brokered by My Home Group. And I want to thank you for being back. But before we do anything, I do want to say something because it's important. It was very important to you. When you talk about just 1%, a lot of people think discount,
yes.
Right? And you have mentioned that a couple of times, and I wanted to say it. I want to say that he's not less, and he doesn't charge you less because he's cheap, or that it doesn't mean that he does less work for you. He's cheaper than the other, or charges less than the other, because he thinks that you shouldn't have to pay more.
Yeah.
And I want you to start off with that.
Okay, well, I didn't plan on starting off with that today.
But I did it to you.
Yes, you did. And it is actually something that comes up a lot, because when you're interviewing agents, if you're interviewing 3 or 4, 5, 6 agents, if you're getting ready to sell a property, or more and more if you're getting ready to buy a property, but my price is cheaper than most of my competitors, not all, but most. And Americans in particular have this stigma about anything that's cheaper than anything else just automatically being worse. And of course you can't blame them, because in most cases you get what you pay for. So if you're going to go out and buy a car for $20,000, one would assume that if you buy an $80,000 car, you're going to get a better car. But in real estate that's not always true, because the vast majority, and I hope I don't get in trouble too much for saying this, but it's been proven in court, but the vast majority of real estate agents basically charge the same price regardless of how good of a job they do. And so what I really set out to establish in my business is to do a better job for a better price. It's not a worse job for a cheaper price. It is the best possible job that I can do, and the price is still what I consider to be reasonable and fair. And of course, hopefully we net you the most amount of money just by fact of charging less than what most agents charge.
So I wanted you to be able to say that, though. Thank you, because people, you might be ready now, you might be getting ready. And today we're going to talk about how to sell your home for more money. It's going to be sort of a how to sell your home 101 type of thing right now. And you could check him out on his website, which is agentschargetoomuch.com. His phone number, write it down, it's 602-768-2767, agentschargetoomuch.com. Now today, we're going to go right into this 101 class here on how to sell your home for more money. So the first thing that you have is, what are the best things a seller could do to prepare their home for a sell?
Okay, thank you for that question. So this is the type of question I get when people are looking 6, 9, 12, maybe even as much as 18 months out. I meet with a lot of people who aren't quite ready to sell their home, but they want to get started. And the number 1 and 2 things, and I'll kind of lump them together here, it's clean and paint. It's that simple, cleaning and painting. Cleaning can mean different things to different people, but I'll give you a short list. It starts with windows, blinds, even light fixtures, and then tile and grout and carpet is another big one that people tend to skip. They might, clean up their counters, but if your tile is dirty, especially in the grout, that all shows up in photographs, and if it shows up in photos, you typically get less money.
So he's giving you the tips of what to do.
Let me go back. I forgot one thing about painting. People will paint their walls, and they typically tend to skip their ceilings or even the exterior of the home. All of those things matter.
So you're talking about the entire home and
if you have a chance,
the ceiling.
Yes, including the ceilings. I see a lot of walls painted, and we'll have 30, 40-year-old paint on ceilings. It's dingy, it's dark. You don't look up, but it shows up in photos.
Wow.
And looks old.
See, this is a great, where else are you going to hear this but on Networking Arizona? I love it. Now, number 2, are there any upgrades that can be done? Granite counters or kitchen and bath remodels? What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are, if you have the time, it's usually worth doing something that's more than about 10, 15 years old. So even if you upgraded the house 20 years ago and it was fairly nice, it might be an outdated color of cabinets or countertops. And if you have the time and the ability to upgrade it to more trendy colors, I was trying to think of the types of things that I see now. Commonly we see people with like quartz countertops in the middle grade homes, and we see even nicer types of countertops, new shaker style cabinets, less molding than we used to. We see a lot of the square baseboards and things, and those things will absolutely get you more money for your home. But I also want to stress that if it's a hassle for you, if you're living in the home, you can still do very well with the things that I said in question number 1, which is cleaning and painting. As long as everything is good and looks ready for move-in. And what does that mean? That means the way you would want it to look if you were moving into the house.
Now,
You're still going to do very well if you just do those things.
right, I will say too, I'm sure that you would agree, the bathrooms,
Mm-hmm.
especially the master bathroom, and the kitchen, if you could do some upgrades there and make it sort of look newer.
Yep,
Right.
kitchen and bath is going to be the number 1 place to spend money.
Mm-hmm.
You're still going to get a higher ROI, return on your investment, for cleaning and painting than you are for those major upgrades. And you do have to be fairly careful about how much money you spend on those upgrades, because it's also possible to over-improve. So if you're in a neighborhood where the average homes that are selling don't have those upgrades, adding them may not necessarily get you all the value that you spend on them. So you do have to walk a fine line there when you start doing actual upgrades.
Now, his website is agentschargetoomuch.com. His phone number is 602-768-2767. And let me just tell you, he does a better job for a better price. That's what he's all about. He wants to give you a better price because he feels that everyone deserves it. Again, it's 602-768-2767. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's someone that you know. 1% sounds really good to me.
Yeah, it's a nice round number, and it's easy to calculate too.
It's easy to calculate, and you know what? Just because it's less doesn't mean that you're getting less work done. He makes sure that he gives you his best quality work for a better price. Now, I want to go back into some of these questions. How to sell your home 101, that's what we're talking about here. So what's trending right now? What are some of the colors that are big? What are some of the things they need to do?
So I think that we're over, for a long time I was seeing in houses the vinyl plank flooring that was sort of a gray wood look, and that is overdone. And when I walk into a lot of houses with buyers right now, especially flips, we see too much gray. That's what I'm hearing from buyers. We're walking into these houses with light gray walls, light gray cabinets, light gray flooring, and what I'm hearing from a lot of the buyers is it's too much gray. So the things that I'm seeing recently that are really taking over market is it's still nice to have sort of a soft off-white color, and warm wood tones are really coming through. Not quite the oak cabinets that we had 20, 30 years ago, but sort of like a warm honey-colored maple look.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have to be everywhere. It could be even like a butcher block island in the middle, just to add some wood tone somewhere.
To give it some softness.
Yeah, and really warm up the
Don't
color
feel like you're
temperature.
in prison.
Yeah, we had a lot of gray there, and it really just became too much
It's
gray.
overdone.
Especially
Overdone.
with that gray wood look vinyl flooring. I see a lot of people moving back towards wood look flooring, or even some of the grayish, or not gray tiles necessarily, but moving back in the direction of tile more than the wood, especially the light gray wood look vinyl plank flooring that just it became everywhere, and it was just too much gray.
Right.
So
whoever designed that, they got a good deal for a long time.
yeah, we do see trends come and go, but that one got a little bit overplayed.
Right. Now, again, you can check him out on his website. It's agentschargetoomuch.com, and today he's giving you pointers on how to sell your home for more money. Okay, what about personal belongings? What should people do with some of those things?
So if you have a lot of stuff in the house, and most of us have been in our houses for 10, 15, 20 years, you start to accumulate things that you're no longer using. So the rule of thumb for people who are occupying their homes is that for photos, it should be about 90% empty. And that applies to your photos on your walls, your bookshelves, any knickknacks that you've got lying around. 100% empty is not better. It's okay, but 90% empty is actually the rule. So if we have bookshelves, there should be a book or two on every shelf, maybe some knickknacks. That goes for photos on the walls. We still try to take down personal photos, both for your privacy and also to help the buyers picture themselves in the house.
Mm-hmm.
But if you leave a couple of tasteful photos, like one per photo, I've become redundant there, but I mean, when I'm a photographer looking at a photo, there should be maybe one piece of artwork or a nice photo scene or something like that per room, and that really helps to sort of stage it with your own stuff. You don't have to get rid of it and get new stuff, you just use what's there.
So years ago, it used to be that we would bake cookies so it
Yeah.
smelled nice in the house, but now, and even though we do have people that are gonna come walking through, so you may wanna do that, but in today's day, it's all about how are we gonna make this look good in a picture, on film.
Yes.
And I said film, but
In photos.
recorder, in photos. So honestly, that is what it's all about today. And you sell all types of homes,
Mhm.
right? And what it does is he charges just 1%, and he does it because he feels that that is what you deserve. He does not do less just because it's less. He does actually more because you deserve more. Again, that number to call him direct is 602-768-2767. It's agentschargetoomuch.com. Hang tight, we're gonna be back in just a minute. Okay?
Oh, I'm always okay. And it gets a little better every time.
It does. And unfortunately for you.
And I like giving information more than a 30-minute
Do you like it this way
commercial.
better? Right. See, I
It
do
makes more
too.
sense. You should have said it to me in the beginning. The first
Well,
one,
I
think-
probably said something like I like to go near and deep on things, but we might have not
Oh,
talked about it.
Yeah, and it's my first time, so.
I will
Yeah.
tell you that one thing about this, unfortunately, is it just takes time. It is the way it is, and you can come on and not get a call right away,
Sure.
and get something in 4 months from now.
Yeah, we'll have
You
to
know?
wait and see what comes of it. I mean, we still have a whole nother month of ads and another month coming too.
Yes.
And my next one, I wanna talk about how to, and I don't remember which one I told you I was gonna do today, but basically the other side of the transaction, so how to get ready if you're a first-time homeowner,
Mm-hmm.
what you need to do to start preparing to get ready for your purchase.
For the money part of it.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
that sounds really good.
I'm not a financial advisor or anything, but
No.
there are certain things that apply
Right,
to
but
real
you know
estate
what to
that
do.
you
Mm-hmm.
need to do to get people
Absolutely.
ready. Or if you've never owned a home before, what are the typical costs and
Mhm.
things to look out for. And
Right. Well, I think this is good.
I
I
have
like
a
it
lot of people who call me up and they're like, I've never owned a home, and they have no idea what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're talking about.
Right, I think that's important. That's a good one. I hope you like that I'm kind of pushing this a little bit.
Yes,
Okay.
because my intention today was more to give the information. So
Well, I'm doing the pushing.
that's good.
Okay.
Better not to toot your own horn,
Yeah.
as they say.
Right, but I think they needed to hear that. It's okay to hear why you do what you do.
Right.
Right?
And it comes up a lot, especially when I'm, going up against multiple agents. Because
Mhm.
most agents are going to sit down and tell you, hey, if you pay less, they're going to do a better job. You're going to get less,
Right.
and we are going to charge you more, but you're going to get more. And that's something that
But you pride yourself on that.
I
and
do.
think
And then
you
once I
should.
show them my photos and my marketing and
Mhm.
and
And
everything
even
that I
so-
do, it's rare that I lose out to other agents, but it does still happen.
One of the things that we might do, and I think we should do, is maybe make another ad, even if it's not in your voice, and do it where just exactly something about that.
About the listing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About being, just because it's 1% doesn't mean that you get less.
Mm-hmm.
We can figure out something to say, and I can have it done in a voiceover, and we just
Sure.
have one done. Wake up in there, okay?
Do they work like the whole day, the sound booth guys? Or do
They
they come in just for your show?
Come and go, because there's not every show in here is a broker show alive, so some of them are not. But they come in and then they'll be here. I think at 3 there's another one. Here we go. So welcome back, everyone. We're talking with Patrick Kaiser. He is the owner of Just 1%, brokered by My Home Group. He does charge 1%, and people say, that's too good to be true.
Yep, I get that a lot. There's no hidden fees. I have, quite literally hundreds of settlement statements, which is the final sheet that you get from the title company showing that it is 1%. There is no other hidden fees, no charges for photographs, no document fees. It's exactly 1%. So you can take your contract price and divide it by 100, and that's how much we charge.
And do not ever think that you're going to get less because he charges less. That's not what he's about at all. As a matter of fact, he does a better job just for a better price. That's just the way he makes it out to be. And he even means it so much, his website is agentschargetoomuch.com.
Yeah.
And his phone number, write this number down, because maybe it's now, maybe you know somebody, maybe you're going to have to move, right? You know, this just comes up all the time.
Yes, a lot of
when
people,
things happen.
things just happen. So people don't plan on moving, and particularly people that have been there for a long time. I get it a lot where, especially with the older folks, something suddenly happens and they didn't plan on selling. They could have had a fall or, you know, a
I
tragedy
know
of some
somebody
kind.
that had that happen.
Yeah, I've got several, you know, even currently where that's
Can
the
you
case.
imagine just 1% getting more in your pocket, which would be very nice, especially if you are a senior, when you could really use the money. Everybody can today.
Everybody can, but the money really matters as you get further in life.
He keeps on looking at me, yes, I see
No, I'm
that.
not looking at you. I'm looking at you because we're having a conversation.
Anyway, the number to call him direct is 602-768-2767, and today we're really kind of just educating everybody out there on how to sell your home for more money. And if anyone knows, it's the agent, right? You know what they need to do.
And what we're really talking, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we're really talking about, 6, 9, 12 months out. So I have a lot of conversations with people that will come in and call me up and they'll say, I'm thinking about selling when their kids get out of school or a job transfer or something that's coming up, and they say, I really want to get planning ahead. What can I do now so that the home is ready when we're ready to list it? Rather than scrambling, you call me up 2 weeks when you're ready to list it, and all of a sudden we don't have time to do all the things that would be ideal.
And remember, today it's all about what is it going to look like in photographs. That's
Yes.
the biggest thing. Because you probably have people to buy the home not even here. They don't even live here. They may not even ever walk into the home, right? Until they're ready to move.
And yes, and about 92% of searches start online. So there's something about photographs, and this is a little bit counterintuitive, but sometimes we don't even want to give all the information in photographs. And this is a little tactic that we like to have people coming where you might occasionally omit a room of the home. I don't do it a whole lot. You do like people to see all of it, but there is something to be said for leaving a little bit of information out so that people have to call you and they have to come to an open house. They have to come and see it to get the information that they're looking for. And with that being said, there's something that I particularly don't like. A lot of agents have these 3D virtual walkthroughs where you can go and look through the house and kind of walk through it. And I've not looked up the data on it, but personally I don't like them because they make me dizzy. And I also have a feeling that a lot of buyers will take a look at those things and decide against a home. My job as the agent is to get as many people into the home as possible. We do the absolute best photos that we can do, but posting too many photos or even these virtual walkthroughs, in my opinion, is a mistake, because I think it causes some people to decide that they don't like the home prior to coming and seeing it. And I like to get people in the door.
You want them there in the door so they can see it and see themselves living in it.
Yes, the idea is to be able to picture them living in it. If you were not with us prior to the break, we talked a little bit about depersonalizing, which would mean taking your own family photos down. If you have any bright colors or excessive types of something that is your style, like I was just browsing through the MLS one day and I saw a house that was all purple. Purple carpet, purple cabinets, purple countertops, purple everything.
Wow.
It's great for you. There's absolutely nothing wrong with someone personalizing their house, and anyone who's been to my house could tell you that I have a lot of bright colors in my house. I love it. But if I were to sell my house, I would probably repaint everything back in neutral colors, because the studies show that the average buyer, about 90% of them, cannot picture what a room would look like in another color.
Right.
And that could be the walls, it could be the furniture, and it could even be the photographs. If someone has a very unique type of taste, and people simply can't omit those things in their mind, and they see it as that house. And, and if you were to depersonalize it a little bit and neutralize certain aspects of different houses, then that's what we're looking for.
Now, don't forget that when he takes pictures, it's all about the lighting, right?
Lighting is very important.
Right.
I mentioned earlier very briefly, but actually another big thing, if you have time, is to clean and or replace your actual light bulbs. Or this is a pet peeve more than it is something that's super important, but people will have different colored light bulbs in a single fixture. So a fan, or in their bathroom, they might have a yellowish, and then a bulb burned out and they replaced it with a new LED one that's a light blue color, and that's actually pretty bad for photos as well. So if nothing else, make sure that all of your light bulbs are the same color, even if that means you've got to track down an incandescent bulb. That they don't like to sell those anymore, but it's really important for photos to have the lighting consistent consistent throughout rooms. Open your windows. I mentioned earlier to clean the windows. That helps a lot as well. And then, of course, my photographer uses flash photography, which is kind of rare in real estate photography. So if you've got a corner of the room which is a little bit darker, then we're going to edit that a little bit and add some light to it, and that all makes a humongous difference.
And don't forget the ceiling.
In the ceiling, yeah, we mentioned earlier painting the ceiling as well, because dark ceilings show up in photos.
Yeah, especially
You never
if you
look
have
up.
ceilings that have like, stains on them
Oh,
from
yeah.
something,
Yeah.
right?
But if you're in the house for 20 years, you don't look up. So you don't think about it. And
You
you might
don't
think,
wanna
I'm gonna
look
paint
up.
my walls, but when you're looking at a photo, like something like 25 to 50% of the average photo is the ceiling. It's just the nature of how the photos work.
Let's talk a little bit about some of these things. We're going to talk about roofs. Should they do the roofs? Should they get new air conditioners, water heaters, or anything like that?
So my opinion on these big ticket items is if it's actively not working, like if you have an actual leak in your roof, you might as well just replace it now rather than wait, because once we go into contract, it's too late. If it's old, and this would apply both to, I would say, air conditioners, water heaters, and roofs, but currently not, like, it's still functional, my opinion is generally to wait until after we go under contract, because sometimes you get lucky and they don't ask for it. And I've had people with, outdated appliances, fixtures, even sewer pipes, and our job is to disclose what we know, if we know of any material defects on what's called the SPUDs, or the Seller Property Disclosure Statement, and outside of that, it's up to the buyer to ask for repairs or not. With that being said, if you have cosmetic defects that show up in photos, we talked so much about photos earlier, those definitely have to be replaced or fixed prior to taking photos. And those would be things like you opened a door and put a hole in the wall. Like, your door stopper's missing, so you've got a chunk missing out. It's not a big deal, but when the buyers walk in and see those, or more particularly when they see those things in photographs that show up, then they just don't make offers at all. So once we can get under contract, we can usually take care of those big ticket items if they ask for them, or negotiate them away in some way, shape, or form. But if it's actively broken, or not functioning in some way, especially like a water heater and air conditioner, like people just are gonna walk away before even making offers. So
Right.
the idea is to get them to make an offer.
So his phone number to call is 602-768-2767. The website is agentschargetoomuch.com. Put this number in your phone. Maybe it's today, maybe it's not, maybe it's maybe you know somebody that's going to need to move. Just 1%. That's what we're talking about here, and that's all he charges. And that is not because he does less for you or he's discounted in any way. In fact, he does more just for a better price.
I think I mentioned it the last time I was on the air, but I want to mention it today as well. If you call this number, 602-768-2767, you're not going to reach a phone bank, you're not going to reach an assistant or a person that doesn't care about you. That is my direct cell number. You can text it. So if you're a person who's afraid to talk on the phone, which I get a lot of, especially with the younger generation, take that number down, save it in your phone, and send me a text message whenever you feel like.
Now, that number again is 602-768-2767. So what about photography? We've been talking about it so much. Are all real estate photographers the same?
No, definitely not. And the first thing I'll say is I see a lot, because I browse the MLS looking for my buyers like every single day, literally every day. Number one, I see a lot of agents, I would assume, that are still taking photos with their cell phones, which I think is crazy. And it's more than you would imagine. It's, I would say, at least 10% that are clearly cell phone photos. You see them, you can see their fingers in photos, you can see, I don't want to go down that road. But then you have what I would call the low quality real estate photographers, and they're pretty cheap. They basically set the cameras in the corners of the room and take photos. They're okay, like there's not a huge problem, but I really like to show up on site. I've got very particular photographers that I use. I only use them because they take flash photos. I'm there with them. I make sure I get the angles that I want. I make sure that I get the features that I want, and I'm there for every single photography appointment.
How to sell your home for more money. That's what we did today, and you should listen up and call him direct because he can help you even further. That number is 602-768-2767. Check it out. It's agentschargetoomuch.com, but not him.